Hello. I'm sorry I can't be with you in Crieff today. There are, however, a number of DWP officials with you, including the Head of Housing Delivery, Julia Sweeney, so there are plenty of opportunities for you to ask questions, and you can always get in touch with me with my office. Today, I'm going to talk about three things: the principles behind welfare reform, our plans for universal credit and housing benefit, and, as far as I can explain, what this means for your role. The need for reform is very clear. The current system doesn't work, of course. You already know that. You are out there every day meeting people who have been ground down by welfare dependency. The benefit system is ferociously complex. It discourages people from working. It discourages people from taking responsibility for themselves. And it prevents people from breaking out of the cycle of poverty that blights so many lives. It's created a system in which welfare dependency is rife. Last year, the government spent an astonishing £201 billion on welfare and pension payments. That compares to £38 billion on defence, £91 billion on education, and £121 billion on health. Welfare dependency has increased. Working age welfare spending is up 40% in the past decade. Housing benefit is up almost 50%. We want to build a system that actually works. To do this, we need to return to first principles, asking ourselves what the welfare system is for and ensuring it delivers. We want a welfare system that provides financial support for those unable to work. That goes without saying. But under the current system, the experience of claiming benefits has become completely removed from the experience of receiving a wage. We must reform to make it easier for people to leave benefits and get into work. I'm currently taking the Welfare Reform Bill through the House of Lords. The bill allows for the creation of a new benefit, universal credit. This represents the most radical reform of the welfare system since its invention. I think universal credit is attractive in four ways. First, it's simpler. It brings together in-work and out-of-work support so that people only need to apply once for a single streamlined payment. Most importantly, people will generally keep a higher proportion of their earnings, meaning that work pays. As people start work or increase their hours, support will be withdrawn gradually at a clear and consistent rate. This means the potential gains of work are clear and reduces the uncertainty and risks associated with a move into employment. We will create a responsive, real-time link between what people earn and their benefit entitlement. So if earnings go down 1 month, for whatever reason, the Universal Credit Award will increase accordingly. The new system will be easier for claimants, as there's no need to report changes in earnings every week or month. Universal credit payments will be calculated automatically. Support will be based on financial need, not crude measures of employment status. It will remove some of the barriers preventing people from returning to work and restore the security of a minimum income whilst retaining the financial incentive to work. Under the current benefit system, some people can experience an immediate, almost total loss of benefits for working just a couple of extra hours a week. Some households lose as much as 91 pence for every extra pound they earn. Universal credit will reduce this to around 76 pence for modest earners and around 65 pence for low earners. This directly improves work incentives for around 1.2 million people. The broader impact of universal credit makes a compelling argument for reform. The updated impact assessments, published alongside the bill, show around 2.8 million households will have higher benefit entitlements under the new regime. For around 1.3 million households, this will amount to more than £25 a week. And because universal credit is properly focused, around 80% of this increase will go to the poorest 40% of households. And our commitment to transitional protection means that universal credit recipients will not be losers at the point of change. We anticipate more people will take up benefits once the system is simplified, with the combined impact of increased take-up and entitlement potentially lifting 550,000 adults and 350,000 children out of poverty. And the introduction of universal credit could mean up to 300,000 fewer workless households. Taken together, these changes will help end benefit dependency by creating a more active regime which encourages people into work by making the financial gains clear and real for hundreds of thousands of people. On the 1st of this month, we set out the timetable for change. From October 2013, we will start the process of moving people onto the new system. By 2017, we'll have transferred all 12 million individual working age benefit claims into 7.7 million household claims for universal credit. We recognise that the move from one welfare system to another needs to be carefully managed to ensure no one is left without support. For this reason, the transition from the old benefit system to universal credit will take place in 3 phases over 4 years. Phase 1 will start in October 2013 with new benefit claimants. All new claims for job seekers allowance, employment and support allowance, housing benefit, working tax credit or child tax credit will be phased out by April 2014. Between October 2013 and April 2014, we estimate 500,000 new claimants will receive universal credit. At the same time, we'll begin to move existing claimants across to the new system if there is a significant change in their circumstances, for example, finding work. We believe a further 500,000 existing claimants and their partners and dependents will move on to universal credit in this way. The second phase will start in April 2014. We'll prioritise those households who could see an immediate boost from moving to universal credit. For example, people claiming working tax credit who currently work a small number of hours a week because they are restricted by the current rules. With a gradual tapering of support introduced by universal credit, they could work more hours and keep more of the money they earn, whilst continuing to have the safety net of the welfare system. We estimate around 3.5 million existing claimants and their partners and dependents will be transferred onto universal credit during this second phase. The final phase will run from the end of 2015 to the end of 2017 and will see the remaining 3 million households transferred to universal credit. This will be done systematically, taking into account local circumstances such as staff turnover, contractual obligations and demography. We'll focus on ensuring stability and safeguarding financial support as the old benefits system winds down. This approach balances the need to drive social change, ensure operational feasibility and contain costs. It also manages the risk to the launch of universal credit by phasing in claims on a gradual basis, and it minimises the risk to local authorities. Further work will be done over the winter on the precise schedule for each group of customers. The introduction of universal credit will be a big change for the people you work with, so it's right we take a phased approach. One of the most important changes we are making is to housing payments. Wherever possible, households will receive a single universal credit payment. It means benefit claimants have to manage their own finances, their full finances. So when they do find work, they are better equipped to leave the safety net of the welfare system. From October 2013, direct housing payments to tenants will be the default position for most working age benefit claimants living in social housing and moving to the new benefits system. Direct payments will be phased in at the same speed as the new universal credit system is introduced. We know this is a major change, and some people are going to need some support to manage their own budgets. and we know it's going to be a challenge for the social housing sector. I know housing benefit income streams are a vital part of housing finance, particularly in terms of funding new housing. I am determined that the introduction of universal credit will not undermine the financial stability of the housing sector. I believe there are mechanisms available which will allow us both to introduce a single universal credit payment whilst also providing protection for the sector. I've been working with the banks and with credit unions to explore some options, and I'll continue to work with the industry to develop appropriate safeguards and ensure a smooth transition to direct payments to tenants. With this in mind, next summer we will launch half a dozen demonstration projects to look at the nuts and bolts of how direct payments to tenants will work. These projects will investigate two specific issues. Firstly, how do we support people to manage their own finances so they don't miss rent payments and are able to manage their own budgets? And secondly, how do we support landlords if people do miss rent payments? In September, I asked for housing associations and local authorities to volunteer to take part in the demonstration projects. Some 70 organisations have responded to this request. We are currently in the process of selecting the final project sites, and I hope to announce the project areas shortly. I know these changes will have a significant impact on the members of this audience. In the short term, local authority benefit staff will play a crucial role in implementing these reforms, as housing benefit is such a key element of the system. In the longer term, we will need to reflect on the implementation period before making decisions on the final delivery model for universal credit and ultimately your role within it. I appreciate this creates uncertainty for you, but it is important that we press ahead because this is the only way to make the system simpler and fairer for the people we all want to help. The detail of these reforms is still being hammered out, so I can't tell you exactly how they'll impact on you. What I can tell you, though, is that we will rely on your expertise and front-line knowledge to make these reforms work. You and your fellow housing benefit administrators will be key to delivering a successful transition from the current benefit system to the universal credit. And we will continue to work with you to ask for your input, to review changes and measure their impact. We are already working very closely with the Scottish Government, the Department of Communities and Local Government, the Welsh Government, and an independent consortium of researchers to evaluate the impact of the local housing allowance reforms on claimants, landlords, and the market in general. An interim report will be available early next year, with a final report ready in the spring of 2013. I hope my address to you this morning has given you a flavour of the direction of reform, the principles behind it, and the pace of change. This is the most radical, far-reaching reform of the welfare state since its creation. You will feel the impact of these changes in your day jobs, but for the hundreds of thousands of benefit claimants you deal with each year, they will be life-changing. They need your support through this change, and so do I. Thank you.